Props to you,
I just didn't know if you guys wanted to do this review twice or not.
And back
Hell
for
no.
transcending our mortal coils!
Why does she care?
I don't know.
She seems invested in what happens after I die.
Nah.
Would you like to hear about Jesus?
Would you like me to tell you about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
Welcome to a missionary packed episode of the Movie Podcast, I guess.
They do a lot of missionary in this one.
They
There's
do.
a lot.
They actually
there
do.
is. There's a lot of missionary in this one. All right. You know what? Good save. Good
Yeah, I
save,
mean, I
guys.
thought that's exactly what you were aiming at there.
Yeah.
No, it was a
my head was
religious
not in the
tone.
right place for that. Surprisingly, me of all persons.
I don't know who's doing this review.
So on today's episode, we got Price, Mason, Nathan, and Dylan.
Not in that order.
Not in that order. Mason, this was your movie.
Yes, it was.
What movie? What?
What? This movie is called Enemy from 2013, and it basically just is all about this guy who kind
Jake
of
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, which we know and love on this
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
We
We
do.
do.
Yeah.
Much
Um,
love.
Gucci.
And Gucci.
Gucci.
He basically is living this very routine life until he finds out that he has a doppelganger, and it just spirals his life into complete chaos and discovery, and basically wraps it up at the end, which I'm sure that we'll get to.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
like theories and who's who in this movie and everything else.
You
Yeah.
saying it throws his life into complete chaos is way overselling it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Way
not
over.
like,
When I think of complete chaos, I think of like
if-
War of the Worlds, like
if you
aliens coming down.
think-
Nothing happens in this
If
movie.
you think of the theory that I'm thinking,
Nothing.
it is chaos.
The theory.
Oh.
So you're.
Are you
you're
already getting into the speculation?
Yeah, so
Hold on,
this
hold on.
movie
I don't
is
think it's speculation.
very vague.
Yes,
and
it is.
It also
I'm also-
opens in a very strange way with like this seedy underground like
Sex club.
where
Yeah.
they have a spider that they like let loose at some point.
A woman
Just walk
touching
around
herself
on
in front of
stage.
like 20 men.
Yeah.
And a bunch of guys that just look very despondent, disinterested.
Just like our
and
main
old.
character.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's on that
Yeah.
same way.
The exact same character, basically.
very,
Yeah.
very
Times 20.
dreamlike, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of points in this movie, very dreamlike.
Yes.
Like, very, like, disturbing dreams kind of thing.
No, somebody, I forget where I'd read it, but they're dead right. Like, this is like, so for the record, this is Denis Villeneuve who directed this, who I normally quite adore, and I'm not gonna,
Oh, he's so good.
I'm not gonna show my hand.
Prisoners.
Sicarios, Prisoners, Arrival, 2049.
Yeah, Blade Runner. Yeah.
Dune.
Dune.
Yeah. So, and I'm not gonna say where I land on this movie just yet, but yeah. So this is very much like Villeneuve doing more of a Fincher style movie than anything else. Like it's got that psychological. I'm gonna keep you guessing what we're actually is. Is this one thing? Is this another thing? You know, a little bit of that Fight Club homage, if you will, of that like, oh, something's not quite right. And it, like the movie's trying to tell me it, but it doesn't want to tell me what exactly isn't
I
quite
think
right.
comparing this to Fight Club is actually very apt.
Yeah, I think that's probably as close as it
Because
comes.
this, I mean, do you
feel like
all feel like this, it's just the same guy?
Yes.
I 100%
I mean, it
It
is
has
just
to be
the
the
same
same.
guy.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
just the same
They
guy.
are never seen with each other by anyone
else.
including
By
the
anyone else,
the wife
Yeah.
or the lover.
So
They are the same person.
pause. I don't want to leap right into the in-game full like movie theories. So let's just address the movie by like some of its moments first, and then we can kind of get into like the overarching thing.
Okay, so what, we've got the teacher?
Yeah, we've got
Teaching history
Jake Gyllenhaal,
classes?
the stressed-out philosophy teacher,
No, I think
History.
history teacher. Yeah, history teacher. Yeah,
He even
yeah.
says that he's a history teacher.
Right. I couldn't remember. I was like, I know he's in the social sciences,
And
but,
he's got a girlfriend.
Yep.
which
Uh,
also
yeah.
looks like a hooker.
You know,
And
you know
that's-
who she is?
Shoshana.
It's Shoshana.
That's
She is. Inglourious Bastards.
But did
The-
you guys know who
The
the
girl
wife
who
was?
burns down the theater.
The pregnant
Yeah.
one?
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
that's Sarah Gadden. She's from 11/22/63, which was that.
Oh, the
yeah,
James
the
Franco.
Yeah, the James Franco show, which
thing.
was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I
Sarah
actually
Gadden
did
was
watch
great
that.
in it too, and her boobs are out. Anyway, so
Everyone's boobs.
yeah, well, not
Yeah.
everybody. This wasn't.
Who didn't have boobs out?
Everyone involved had boobs out.
Okay, all the main characters.
Like
did.
Jake
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal, you saw his boobs.
That's true.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Both Gyllenhaal.
You didn't see the security guard's boobs, the one he's talking to, where he's like,
Okay.
"Oh hey, yeah."
Alright,
I
so
really need a
any
key.
main character.
Yeah, every main character definitely got their tits out though.
Yeah.
And that will reflect in my score. But No, so we start the movie with the history teacher who's got like this very grindy like apartment nightlife thing going on. And I won't lie, as I'm first watching the movie, and I still hold on to this, like it
It's
portrays
kinda
her.
very like non-decorated.
Yeah, it portrays her more as Dobby has a tapeworm.
Sorry, I just got a message saying that my puppy has a tapeworm.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Well, he had a tag in him too, so you might as well just cut him open.
Sorry. Go
So the way the movie paints this woman is like objectively girlfriend, objectively hooker. No, like
I mean, it's kind of
booty
vague.
call.
Yeah.
I mean, just an acquaintance.
There's like
It
some,
seems
there's,
less romantic,
There's
more
definitely
like, yeah.
a degree of disinterest,
yeah,
which, like, in my head, I imagine it being more of a, like, kind of long strained and disdained.
That's
kind
how
of
I read it.
relationship.
if anything, it like sure it would. If it is anything romantic, it's been like this has been
It's
going
been a
on.
while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically he has the exact same routine. He goes to work, he does his figures, then he does his teaching,
Yeah.
meets up with his girlfriend, rinse, wash, repeat, basically.
Yeah. He does have that that scene with the other
well,
teacher.
he does meet with a therapist.
Yeah.
Too.
Nani? Huh? You
Who?
mentioned the
Wait,
therapist.
no, that's his mom, right?
That's his mom. Yeah. I was
Okay,
about to
yeah.
say.
Dude, you had us thinking that there was
I
a
know.
director's cut there for a second. I
I'm
was
like, hold on, is there? I was like, yeah.
yeah, his mom was a very pivotal part in this
Yeah,
thing,
she
too, I
and
think.
she's 100% why I'm convinced it's the single person, but we'll
Yeah.
get there. No, so you have him like going through this like loop of life. He talks to his like one teacher coworker that one time who he could not be more annoyed with talking to, and then he pitches that like local movie, which gets us into like how he starts finding this doppelganger or same person.
Yeah.
And then he just obsesses at
Yeah.
that point. Which, to be fair, have you seen Jake Gyllenhaal?
Well, I mean, he sees him. He basically sees himself in a movie. It's
Yes.
just like how am I in this movie?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there he starts like spiraling and stalking and calling and following through on this person, and this is where it kind of gets into like the heady questioning of like, is this two people? Is this one person? And I feel like now that we have had that proper context set up, let's get into the theories. Let's get into what the movie actually is.
Well, I think that the main thing, like we were just talking about with the mom, there's so many little dropped hints along the way.
Mm-hmm.
She probably threw the most out there. But I mean, for whatever reason, they mentioned blueberries so many times in this movie. It
Yeah,
still
they did.
stands out to me.
Yeah.
I know beagles like them.
Beagles love blueberries. Anyways, but yeah, that, and then something about his mom also saying, like, you've always had trouble holding on to women, like, sticking with the same one.
Yeah.
Meaning infidelity and so on, but
When are you gonna quit being a third-rate actor or
Yeah.
something like that? And
you need to
that's
stop chasing your dream of being a third-rate actor.
Yeah.
Yada, yada.
so.
She summed everything up.
Right, yeah. The mom for me is the quietly like confirming everything for me, but like scene, especially whenever he's like, she mentions that line, and that puts me over. I'm like, okay, yeah, so it has to be the same person, right?
Yeah.
Because the headcanon IMO, I don't know if we're all in agreement of this, but like my headcanon of this was that like, obviously a timeline is showing us like bits and pieces from different parts of it throughout the movie. It's not totally chronological, but mostly chronological.
Yeah, I'd say mostly.
Yeah, with the idea that it was like, okay, clearly he was acting, he was doing small local stuff, couldn't really take off. He starts becoming a history teacher, and that's where he's like grinding his gears, but he feels, probably like uninspired and miserable. And then he starts cheating on his wife, who's pregnant, feels guilty about it. Guilt always includes into
And
this
is also very
psychological.
jealous because
Yes,
of the
right.
fact that she knows of his history.
Yeah, and like clearly that's been like a discussion point for them, because the entire point of like Sarah Gadon's wife character, like the whole conversation, she's like, "But who'd you talk?" He's like, "I don't want to talk about this again."
It was
he's
a man.
He's in the kitchen getting
Oh
worked
yeah,
up.
and I love that scene. I'm
Yeah.
finally gonna speak up when she's like, "Are you cheating on me?" And he's like, "You're crazy." And Kelly and I both watch it like, "Just say you didn't cheat." And
Yeah.
you all know exactly what I was thinking of
Yeah.
when that.
That was
happened.
only
Oh
part
no!
one.
Oh,
yeah, that was the first part.
That
You-
was an interim part.
Here's the funniest part. So for those of our loyal viewers who may know, Jake Gyllenhaal, cheating wives, kitchens. This all starts to sound like a movie we've watched before.
Yeah.
Sometimes even reviewed twice over.
Sometimes 3.
And
Yeah.
immediately, I see that scene, and I was like, Mason, you son of a bitch. And I started texting him. I was like, you got us to watch Brothers again.
Yeah.
Also, who keeps signing Jake Gyllenhaal for this movie? Damn his agent.
Because all he had to say is just like, no, I did it. I mean, she might not believe him, which is
No,
fair.
yeah.
But just say no, and he just doesn't. Like if you sign Jake Gyllenhaal on for infidelity, is he just not allowed to?
He's
just
not
say
allowed to
no?
actually
He signed
address
an NDA centuries ago that said,
Yeah.
"I will never say no."
You can never admit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to play the game, Jake.
So stupid.
No, yeah, brothers as well is a discussion point because whenever he meets himself in the hotel room, they're
Dude,
like,
that
"Oh,
was
what
one
are
of
we,
my favorite
brothers?"
scenes.
That was the one that put me in for sure. Like I'd already had the message sent up for Mason. I was like, "Let's keep watching."
Yep.
And then once he was like, "What are we, brothers?" or
He
something, I
literally
was like,
said it.
"You son of a bitch!" Like
And
immediately.
then he immediately said, "No, we can't be."
No, we can't be. Yeah. And then right around that time, Price had said something in the group chat. I was like, I don't know, Jesus Christ, Mason.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that he was exactly where I was at that movie at the same
I
time,
was.
and I was like, I'm not gonna say a thing.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, there's also the scene where he's like just staring himself in the mirror. And
Yeah.
He's practicing the "Did you fuck my wife?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
God.
is very
And
reminiscent
talk about
of-
feeling at home for us, right? Oh man. So, anyways, yeah, the headcanon of all this is that like, he eventually he starts to actually feel guilty about. Like, the culmination of the end of the movie for me is, like, his lies kind of coming together, him accepting that he actually does love his wife, and that he does want to be with her, and this is why there's that weird moment towards the end, and this is my headcanon, like I said, that where he's like, okay, he starts, like, laying in bed with her, but it's, like, so detached, and it's so separated, and the movie really wants to paint it as, like, oh, this is how you would feel if you were another man.
Yeah.
And that kind of, like, in that context works. But for me, I'm just like, no, I think he's, like, coming to terms with his guilt and actually kind of, like, overcoming it and saying, like,
Overcoming it and going to move on.
you know what,
in a
I am,
progressive way,
I'm gonna actually be here, I'm gonna do that, and then they have sweet sex on the couch somehow, because they were on the bed, I don't remember how they got to the couch, but, yeah, and then it just kind of all ties in
Well,
there.
so
And nothing else happens at the end of the film.
yeah, yeah. There's one
So,
glaring
hang on,
thing
hang on.
that happens at the very
Real
end
quick,
of this film.
before
that
we
makes-
get to that.
Before we get to that.
I do want to say, while he's on the couch sobbing, she comes out there and comforts him, right?
That's how she gets there.
Then the other couple, the bad Gyllenhaal basically,
Yeah.
has
Evil
already
Gyllenhaal.
like kind of ruined the night. They're driving, he's screaming
Oh,
at
yeah.
the lover,
Uh-huh.
and if you guys noticed, the pregnant wife, she said like, "I want you to stay,"
Yeah.
and then as soon as that happened, the car crashes.
crashes, yeah.
So that was basically killing his other ego of like this.
That was killing his
infidelity
perception.
and like
Yeah.
his shitty character, his other persona,
Right.
and that was supposed to like kind of create that. Like
Mhm.
now he's here to stay. This guy's here to stay.
I didn't care about that. I thought it was hilarious when like he's looking over like blah 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 blah, and he just
Oh,
like,
yeah?
It's just like in Billy Madison where they're
Yeah.
like, who rules? Oh, Doyle rules. And then they hit the banana peel and they
Yeah.
just go like that. That's exactly how it is in this movie, and it's like played off as
I
this
mean,
like
it-
big
it-
dramatic thing.
It's very like bam.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
just
instant.
like maybe like 30 frames of this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
And
they
it
just
is,
didn't want
it's
to keep it in the
definitely
budget.
CG crash,
Yeah,
like,
oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember-
like that car crumples
Yeah.
in on every side into a box.
It's so silly.
They didn't want you second guessing.
No.
These people died.
They're dead, and
Yeah.
that was a bad crash. And also, I mean, that was weird for the tempo because the whole movie is so like slow pace,
Yeah.
slow burn.
The hottest it ever burns feels like it's still like a 6 or a 7, and
When
minus
he's
the very, very
screaming.
end.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah, right. And then it's like, well, let's just go to a 9 for a car crash, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, Nathan, if you'd like to, go ahead.
Spoil
Jump
the
in
lo-
on the
yeah,
very end.
what's
Yeah,
the very,
so
very end?
The very end of this movie,
Uh-huh.
his pregnant wife goes into another room and he goes to follow her, and as he turns the corner, giant tarantula is like in the room
Mm.
and then like tucks itself up
Backed.
against the wall.
Yeah, backed
Yeah.
against the wall.
Yeah.
There's a theory also for that. The
Yeah.
very beginning of the movie in the sex club, all those men are there to watch this woman squish this spider.
Yeah.
They are afraid of, the spider. They want to see it squish, that's why they're there. At the very end, Jake Gyllenhaal, the good one, gets that sex club key that he never realized was a thing
Mhm.
until he started to be like, oh, okay, here's the key that guy was talking about for this club. And then he plain out says, honey, I've got plans tonight. Meaning he's going right back into the old cycle. He's
Mhm.
going straight back into the sex club. He's going to go back to his old ways. Sees his wife.
So I misheard what he said because I thought he said, "Do you have plans?"
He
Yeah,
said, do
he
we
says-
have plans?
Yeah.
And then she
Okay.
said, no, we don't, honey. And he said, well, I think I've got something going on tonight, or whatever he said.
Right.
Meaning he was going to this
He's
confidential
going back
club.
to the club, right.
But she is supposed to be the spider, and she is backed against the
Right.
wall because she's scared. He's swishing her.
With all the theories that you all have been talking about this whole
Not so
time.
much- it's
Just
not
more
a-
let
or
me
less
finish.
what it is.
I'm not done
More or
yet.
less what it
With
is.
all these theories and crackpot things you all are throwing out.
Oh,
Did
he's
you-
not
Oh.
finished, but we're
No,
the crackpots.
no. Just let me finish.
Go ahead, call us assholes next.
Did you all come up with these, or did you find them
I watched
online?
I actually was on board with about 80% of mine. I had a suspicion that this was him, and that this was, frankly, just Catherine the video game.
If you
Oh,
if
okay.
you
Yeah, I mean,
watch
I see
the
Catherine.
video that I
Yeah,
get
like-
that I watched, it's only like 10 minutes long. It makes this movie 10 times better because it's exactly what he says.
But my point I'm leading to
Yes,
is
yeah.
that I take movies for what they are. I don't want to watch these theory videos, what the people are saying, to explain to me, oh,
watch
that's
Annihilation again?
that's actually what I watched.
So that's what I'm getting at.
That's just
you
the
watch a
kind-
movie like Annihilation, Interstellar, all these other movies that actually have some depth, similar-ish to this one. This one's got a few hidden messages underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this video is 10 minutes long afterwards. I just
Yeah.
watched an hour and 38 minutes of this movie.
But again,
so
I'll continue because I don't like it when the movie's so convoluted and silly that I'm just like, okay, I have to watch something to try to figure out what I just watched, as opposed to like movies that I'm on a list like Inception, which I think is really good because like the ending, like the whole time, like you have the like you
I
can
just
craft
don't
your own
hate
kind
that
of
movie.
theory at the end of that. I like that a lot, and even a movie like American Psycho, which I don't really like that much.
That's not true. We
But
loved
like
the
you,
first half
but
of
you
it.
Yeah.
can, but you like it at least leaves room for interpretation at the end where like it is kind of fun to delve in and see what's going on there because like the breadcrumbs are kind of there. Whereas this one, I feel like it's just like image, and then you're supposed to like put it together
Connect them.
somehow.
You typically like it when you get to the end and you feel like that you have 95% of it figured out, and the last 5% could be ambiguous, and there's
Yeah.
no right or wrong.
Yeah, but that 5% usually is like a crux of the movie, like Inception. Like,
right,
is it real or not?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a huge crutch of that part of that movie, right? And even the same with American Psycho. So for me, this is why I'm like, I tend to be on the other end of that. I don't mind to have a movie like be very heady to the point where I'm like, I need to go check the other zeitgeist of movie like artist people to kind of make sure I'm in the right lane or not, or if I'm like not even in the lane at all.
Well,
Like,
and-
I don't.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say, and
go
for
ahead,
me,
go ahead.
it wasn't. Oh my god, I really need to look up what this whole
No,
movie.
yeah.
It's. I just want to know what the ending was because what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
spider?
that was the
And-
only thing I needed
yeah,
figured out.
And
I'm like,
he just said, "Oh, well, this actually ties back into the first part, and then all this."
right.
stuff.
I was like, what the fuck's with this? Like,
Yeah.
literally, my Google search was, what the fuck spider
Might have been
enemy?
one
Like,
of the best jump scares of like a non-jump scary movie I've ever seen. In
I
my
won't lie,
life.
I
I
did
mean,
jump
they
a lot.
have the spider show up many times.
They do.
In the
Yeah.
city, all the
There's
spider
woman with the
webs.
spider head on that one.
Yeah.
There's the one where it's hovering
Yeah,
over
so
the...
it's supposed like it all. Yeah, it's representing infidelity all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Like-
like him like looking at the girl's legs at one point, the shoes she's wearing have
Mhm.
like spider designs
Yeah.
on them. Like
Right.
It's constant. It's a constant. in
Yeah.
the movie,
So this was a movie that, like, I think what makes a good movie of this nature, my opinion, is that like I can figure out enough of it. Like the main stuff I'm like getting. It's just like maybe a little thing here and there that like maybe puts it over. Like, and same thing with Annihilation. Annihilation, actually, I maybe think is probably worse than this movie in that one way. Is that like I remember watching that, I was like, I went on a fucking ride. Holy shit! And there's probably some really cool stuff. And then I was like, there is. But you enjoy, like, for
So-
me, I enjoyed the rabbit hole. Like,
So that's kind of a thing I will say about this movie
Yeah.
is I don't think having like pieced together the message to this to me really makes the
Was
movie
it satisfying?
any better.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times in a lot of movies where I really appreciate and value that sort of stuff, and I like that sort of like outside of the movie itself, sort
'Cause
of
the-
like analysis and whatnot.
yeah.
Because
But this one doesn't have it.
Because the ride of the movie is not fun. Like
It's
riding
slow.
the movie.
Yeah, sure. At the
is
end of the day,
not
the movie,
fun.
the movie still has to be a fun ride, right?
But
Like-
Kelly was watching this with me, and she said one of the funniest things she ever said to me
I doubt it.
was at the
No,
at the
it's
end of the
just-
movie when the spider comes up. I just audibly go, "Oh, like what was the point of that?" And she goes, and I was like, "What was like the point of the spider?" And she just goes, I feel like this reminds me of the puppy who lost his way, and the puppy
It's a
represents
fucking
the
Billy
spider.
Madison
Oh my God.
reference. That's funny to you. It's
That's
not funny
funny
to
to
us.
us.
You don't remember like at the
Yes,
end
I
of
We
remember
remember the
it.
movie. We
Why are you
remember the movie.
asking
We're asking talking about that
remember
movie.
it. We
Of course
honestly
we remember
remember
it.
it.
Billy Madison, it's the fucking
You
puppy.
think it's funny?
Hey, of
'cause
course you
Bill
think it's funny.
Madison.
It's Happy Go.
Yeah, because like they're
Kelly Quinn encouraging him.
because they're asking to.
We know what it means.
Revolution.
And
That
now
movie
you're
has.
explaining a comedy from 1999.
Nobody needed that movie
I'm checked
explained.
out. I'm literally not saying anything anymore. This movie's a 0.
Oh, that's what he was doing.
Oh, that's
Is that
good.
like duck noises?
I feel like it was a farting noise
Yeah,
or
it's a
something.
fart.
So you've modified that to a 0.
Yeah.
modified it.
Okay.
And I'm checked out. I've been over yelled and I'm done.
Because you
0.
brought up Billy
Billy
Madison
Madison
for the
for the
50th
50th
I
time.
mean,
Not-
maybe you had a legitimate reason for doing so.
I did. So
Oh, I doubt it.
0 done.
I doubt it.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got all of our other segments, but sure. This is the movie you're gonna check out on. Okay.
Yeah.
Weird Hill to Die on. But anyway, so what did you think about the spider? Did you think it was cute? Before it went in.
Honestly,
Before it went in.
when I think of this movie, even when I put this on the
Before
wheel,
it went in?
Yeah, before it went into the bedroom. You can just
Like
call her
the-
the wife
the
at that
lady?
point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
The,
okay.
the wife?
Yeah.
The pregnant wife?
Yeah.
Like, is a pregnant woman attractive? Is that what we're
Yeah, sure. Was
discussing?
she cute? That's all I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever I think of this movie, I do think of that spider scene, and that's something that's just engraved in my brain forever.
Yeah, you probably
mentioned-
should, Mason.
We mentioned The Mist earlier, and like that has one of those endings of just like, wow, I'll never forget that ending. This is the exact same way. We're just
Yeah.
like, oh man,
Yeah.
that was rough. But
I'll say I'll probably forget this whole movie.
Yeah. This has the ink. No, here's what I'll remember from this movie: that it's actually just brothers in disguise, and then I'm gonna remember that
it's brothers, but like less spicy.
Yeah, this is brothers in the video game Catherine, and people who have played that game should get the vibe pretty quickly of what like I'm talking on it, because it's like very similar in the plot with that. Not as like Finchery, but yeah, similar ideas with that. So I don't know. That's why I felt like I was kind of like attached to the film further on. I will say though, I would have preferred to hear him talking about history lessons. I would watch a whole movie of Jake Gyllenhaal, the history teacher.
Well,
He
I
was
thought-
getting more
I thought
deranged
the
as it was going
history
on.
lessons would actually like have some sort of extra meaning to them as well. and
Right.
that They were
He
worth
said
listening
history
to
repeats
closely.
itself,
Yeah,
which
that's-
is what this is all about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just like such a generic, vague thing to throw out
Yeah,
there.
like it's for a movie that really wants you to feel like it's paying attention, that you're gonna like figure it out by getting all the little hints and clues. Like I don't feel like that the history like lessons were ever really teaching so much about
I mean,
like
it's just like it's not a payoff that's worth the time.
You mean you didn't think that the spider was worth the payoff?
No,
This was
It
No.
got bigger as the movie went on. It started
Yeah.
this big, then it got to a lady's face, which is this big.
that was Marvel's
It was a
Spider
sign.
Woman. They finally did it.
you know,
Gross.
you can throw a really cool CG spider into about any movie. It's not going to redeem it.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see about that. But anyways, Fat Thin Perfectly Fit.
Let's do it.
Price.
Fat.
Okay.
It's fat. It's fat.
Yeah.
It's very fat.
It's probably pregnant. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's so-so. It's
Yeah.
so-so.
Maybe it'll give birth to a better movie.
Actually, it's
Brothers?
funny you said that. No, because there was another movie that came out the same year called The Devil with Jake. What's his name?
Huh?
Zuckerberg, Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh yeah.
And it is. I watched it right after this, and it was not very good.
Oh.
But-
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was weird.
Okay.
They were both based off the same novel. They both came out the same year. It's one of those weird
How
things.
like that happens all the time.
Yeah, it does. And the weird thing about this is that director is like a nobody. This one, obviously, Dennis Villeneuve, and
Villeneuve.
Is that his name?
Villeneuve. Denny Villeneuve.
Yeah.
It's.
I feel like there's like 14 more letters.
there is, but it's French, so you only say 3 of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
fair. But yeah, so this
I like
obviously-
Dennis though. Dennis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie's definitely chubby.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. You kind of, if you're involved in the characters and you actually like the characters, I guess it's fine. But it is definitely chubby.
I'm trying to figure out where I cut though.
I think everything helped. Like,
everything's kind of relevant.
I was
so
gonna say, I think everything tied in.
I think
Just
what
about everything.
no, so I think this has the Tarantino's problem where there are definitely scenes that just kind of sit there for
Oh, yeah, when he's just sitting in the
uncomfortable
chair. and-
Yeah,
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's all about making you uncomfortable.
Right, and that's like intentional, but at the same time, I'm also like
Well,
efficiency is the name of the game here, guys.
plus, like, whenever the bad Gyllenhaal comes into, like, the what is it? Like the quieter Gyllenhaal's apartment. He's like, what the fuck is this place? This place sucks, dude. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was feeling the same way.
Yeah,
like
that
I
place
didn't want
did
him
suck.
to keep going back there and just, I don't know, sitting in that chair and hanging out.
At first, I wasn't sure whenever they went to the hotel room because it has that same like yellow lighting that I was like, "Has this
Just
actually
the
been the
same-
room? Right? Has this
yeah.
been the apartment the whole time?"
Yeah. Well, they also put that filter on the entire freaking.
Oh, the New Mexico filter.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, make it more gray too somehow. It's like
Yeah.
a yellowish gray.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But
They threw a little Gotham in there, but it was largely Constantine's New Mexico filter with the gray goose sprinkled on top of it with it. Yeah.
All right, you guys want to get into scores?
Scores! Starting with price at 0,
Yeah.
and he made a button with farting noises on it off screen.
That was my favorite part.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I don't know how to give this movie a 10. So Nathan, yeah.
Man, I didn't really care for this movie at the end of the day. Like, there's not really a moment from it that I thought was super cool. And this is nothing. I mean, whenever we pick movies, we're not necessarily picking a movie that we feel like we need to stand behind or anything. It might just be something that we think is interesting. So it's like,
We intentionally
I
queued up to get shot
never
sometimes.
see it as me
Mhm.
like judging somebody for having picked a movie.
No.
But I'm not gonna give this very high.
What a preface on that.
As he loads the shotgun.
Wow.
So this movie's like a 2.5 to me.
Woo.
Nice.
It's just not for me at all. It bored me the whole time. I will admit, for a little bit, I really was confused whether or not that was his mom or a therapist with the way that he was talking to
You
her.
mentioning therapist that was like gaslighting us.
Dude,
into being like, hold on.
I was very confused.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. It's, I mean, you could say it's an interesting idea, but it's not worth watching.
What was it Warrior that you didn't figure out
That
that they were
didn't realize
brothers?
they were-
They were like
I thought they were
the
the
first
same
half of the
person.
movie where you were like,
Half of the movie.
yeah, I don't know who these guys are to each
It's
other.
like, why are they using 2 different actors for the same
Yeah.
guy and they just keep doing
Yeah,
flashbacks
what was
to
it?
him in the
You
war?
literally thought it was it was the same dude Christ over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's right, because you missed like a 5-minute part.
Right,
Where they
yeah.
actually explained it. Nick Nolte.
I'll almost round this movie out if we combine me and Nathan's score. I'll give it like a 7. This movie is like just interesting enough. Like it's one of those ones where I watch it once and I'm like, okay, I didn't take my time with it. It wasn't miserable. It was a little too long. But the Finchery style of like, all right, I'm intrigued enough. And it didn't. You really only have like ambiguous ending, really good ending, or shit ending. And like I know that kind of covers the spectrum, but like that's kind of how you do those style movies anymore,
Yeah.
right? Like
That's true.
you have The Mist, you have Inception, and then what's a bad? I don't know, like the really bad.
Annihilation might be a
Fuck
good
you!
one.
No,
Oh,
Annihilation.
no,
So,
Annihilation.
Annihilation, and then I don't know,
you're
America's Psycho.
scaling them like
Yeah,
that. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, like
I just
creative
meant like you almost have to do a deep dive.
Oh yeah,
afterwards,
sure,
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And this was easy, you know. And Inception was like, oh, okay, I can get behind
I
that.
probably
It
didn't
wasn't
watch
a
it again.
surprise ending. It was just like oh shit, that's tragic.
That's
Yeah.
an oops. Yeah.
Like, oh, you fucked up.
You couldn't
right
have-
at the finish line.
You could.
you
You couldn't have tied his shoes for 5 seconds beforehand, could
Yeah.
you? Like, yeah. But yeah, this movie overall lands at like a 7 for me just for those reasons. It's like definitely not like worth super defending. I'm likely to forget it, but if it came up in the background, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Plus, I respect a movie that also shows all of its cast nude on that one with it. Check our
Zardos.
Zardos. God,
Zazos.
I'm having a stroke thinking about that movie again.
Zappos.
Zardos review for my thoughts on that. But Mason, there we go.
So I watched this movie whenever it first came out. When I was
In
like
2013.
Yeah,
Okay.
a while ago, and I didn't understand it. I was like, wow, I feel like I've wasted my time. This is the second time I've seen it, and I at least was like able to get behind it a little bit more. I thought it would be kind of fun to put it on here, only because we have a lot of Jake Gyllenhaal moments on this podcast.
Yeah.
We've
This
had
is
Nightcrawler, we've had them all. We've had Donnie
Slowly
Darko.
becoming the Jake Gyllenhaal podcast.
Yeah.
Also
I mean,
featuring.
every time we get like somebody like this that we do a review with will
Mhm.
always say like, oh, it's a whole lot of this person, or a
Yeah.
whole lot of that person. I mean, but I will say we probably have gone through a lot of his catalog.
We've gone through a good deal of his catalog at this
Didn't
point.
we also specifically do?
We did a Leo month.
Yeah,
we did a Leo month.
We did Leo month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just got to keep his numbers up. That's
Okay.
mainly
That's
the
fair,
reason.
that's fair.
And we got
You gotta
two of
keep
them.
it
It's
competitive.
it's the Tom Hardy legend
We do love
Oh my
Tom
scenario. You got to have two of them.
We all love Tom Hardy. We agree on that.
But at the end of the day, this movie is still a 7.5 for me. I think that it's slow, but I don't know. Movies like this, I don't mind like just chewing through. We also didn't mention it's exactly like an hour and 30 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's not. It could have lingered on. Luckily, it is exactly that 90-minute mark
Mhm.
or 91 minutes, something like that. But yeah, 7.5 feels warranted, especially after the second watch. And I will admit, I did do a little bit of a deep dive afterwards, and it helped tremendously because otherwise the spiders were kind of, well, not kind of, very just wonky throughout the entire thing. Like you had the big like massive War of the Worlds
Oh yeah,
spider
the one
walking
hovering in the city.
through,
Yeah.
little spider webs here and there. Plus it's October. Not to
Yeah.
date this, but you know, it's spooky month. So.
Yeah, spooky season. What do critics think of this movie? The
yeah.
other critics, not the good ones.
Yeah,
like
not us.
Yeah.
Audience score was 64. Tomato meter was 71. So pretty middle of the road.
Yeah, critics just always have the worst takes.
Well, I don't know. I feel like this is a critic's.
Yeah,
dream
this is a
because
critic
it's
movie.
like
Yeah.
Because they can be all like, "Oh, I'm so heady
I
and
think it's-
thoughtful."
I think it's a
Yes.
mix of like that, and I think the part that we kind of get to, but we never really say out loud a lot, is that it's like at least it's different.
You know, you get to a point where you start watching like enough movies, and you're kind of like, I'm just rewarding this movie for being something that's just like different for a second. Like there have been times where we've gone out of our way to like silently reward a movie for just being like, oh, this took something that I feel like I've seen 100 times and turned it on its head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's been a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
With no further ado, Nathan, would you like to
Nathan.
do the honors?
you've got it.
Somebody help! No one's looking at it.
Oh no.
Oh no! What did you
Oh,
do?
no! I thought about taking that off, but I guess here we are.
That's what I said last week.
Oh,
Nathan
no.
says mailman in a post-apocalypse.
I was intrigued by that one last week.
Yeah,
You
were
told me
you?
This was the movie that I know you've mentioned before, but
This is one that I have mentioned before, and I've always been like, I probably shouldn't put it on there because it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So the movie is The Postman.
I don't know what that is.
It's got the same lead actor from Waterworld,
Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh shit.
Kevin Costner.
That's
Oh.
Kazi.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a 3-hour movie.
and it's 3 hours long.
Oh, that's what it. Ouch.
Oh no.
Yeah, it looks like Kevin Costner.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna be on the
so
land
it's
now.
got an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh.
Just to spoil it a little bit.
no.
You made us watch Zardos, and I hated every second of. Actually, not every second. I loved the first 6 minutes.
There's a.
I think the audience score though is like 51 or something
Oh,
like that.
so we got some good critics out.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness
So
the
the
audience
people
loved
love it compared to the critics.
Give the people what they want.
Kevin Costner. Oh my god. 3-hour movies. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Hooray. So we sure we don't want to do a hangout next week?
I'm sick.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess make sure to tune in next week for The Postman. You know the one.
You know it.
I will say at least this is probably one of the last really bad movies that I have in my.
Does that
like,
You have to say
Better
this
or
is at
worse?
least one of your.
So now you've got to start venturing out for more bad movies? That's the way you worded it. You're like, it's the last of my reserves. I've got to go out hunting for new bad
gotta go
movies
get some
now.
more
I mean,
berries.
I do go out and watch movies on my own time,
Some-
and they're always bad movies.
and they're always
If,
bad.
it has to be like in the 80s, all right.
Oh, a
That's-
movie from the 80s.
That's where I
yeah.
hunt for the bad movies.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's nothing but bad movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's why there's
Right.
like 5 good 80s movies and they don't shut up about it.
I've
Yeah.
only
Like,
seen
Yeah.
2 of them.
yeah.
Lawnmower Man.
Oh my god, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up.
Alright, sign us off.
So yeah,
Anyway.
that's man,
I can't
that's
wait.
gonna be a time.
If you recognize Sarah Gadon from that one show that James Franco did, but now you can't watch because you feel gagged because I think he got canceled, I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. Did you think she was cute? Even if she's pregnant? Nothing weird about it. She's a woman. Anyways, if you like what we're doing at all times, then make sure to give us a big old fat thumbs up on that one, and then make sure to subscribe button. Just because fuck it, we want to be rich one day. Let us do it. We'll keep eating eggs and peppers and
Are
doing.
we eating eggs?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
Oh, you think Gaston's gonna show us up? Fucking fake Disney character? Well, I can eat 12 dozen eggs or whatever. It's 4 dozen.
144 eggs.
Yeah, it
You
was-
got this.
It was 4 dozen eggs first
Yeah.
of all, and I think we can do it. Also, make sure to hit the bell because he got yelled at and now he's mad throughout the whole podcast. See if Price talks again next episode on the Epic Movie Podcast. Bye guys.
Bye.
Now Infinite Wednesdays.